2 races left. Tension is high. The championship is wide open. And Audi is desperate for that first win of the season. This is round 9 of the Speed GT Championship, part of the SCCA Speed World Challenge. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie along with Johnny O'Connell, and working pit lane is Brian Till. Welcome to Road Atlanta for this second last round of the year. Excitement is quite high at the moment, and one driver who is right in the middle of that is Randy Pobst, and he's with our Brian Till.
Well, Lee, Randy Pobst starts in very familiar territory. The 7th time he started on the front row this year. He's been on the podium 6 different times. Randy, you've been on the 2nd step, you've been on the 3rd step. The one you're missing is the top step, buddy. What's it going to take to get it there?
All we got. I can't wait for the start because the Audi Quattro is so good on the start, and the right lane is sitting on wet track. Champion Racing has been making my Audi better every race. It's been a development year, and this is our best shot at a win. I'm in a great position at the start. I got some great competition, and we're ready to go racing.
Ready to go racing. You heard it, guys. He's going to try to put this thing in the winner's circle. They have improved this car week in and week out. This could be the time. Lee?
And speaking with Randy this weekend, I've never heard him speak so positively about his chances here this weekend. The points look like this. There's only 20 between Auberlen and Pobst. Now, that's a handy margin for Bill Auberlen, but it's still something that Randy can reel in. And Phil McClure, a further 26 points back in 3rd position. We look through the guys back in the top 10, and there's Thomas Oates rounding out that final position. And you can see just what a tough year it's been for Michael Gallardi. Here's the manufacturer situation. It's a little tighter. Just 10 points between BMW and Audi. Audi could really capitalize on things here today. Let's take a look at our Arby's starting lineup for Road Atlanta round 9 of the Speed GT Championship. Front row is Mike Fitzgerald. Congratulations to him. That's his first pole of the year in the Porsche. And Randy Pobst, who you've just heard from, starting outside Mike. Row 2 is Bill Auberlen and Phil McClure. Yes, we welcome Phil back, the 2-times race winner this year. He has been cleared. He's got the medical okay and will race. David Farmer, best grid position of the season. Outstanding stuff for him in his Corvette, and Michael Gallardi outside the 3rd row. We go back to row 4, Hans Stuck and Boris Said, the PTG BMW teammates and good friends. We'll watch for them to work their way forward. And Mike McCann is back, and Michael Culver starts outside row 5. Johnny O'Connell, as we look at the remainder of the grid, you know this track so well. What's the real key feature here? What are these guys got to do? What's Randy got to do to win?
It's a challenging racetrack normally, but today, you know, we've had some rain before this session, and there's a dry line, which is definitely going to work to Randy's advantage. What he's going to have to do is get out to a good lead, use that Audi all-wheel drive, and hopefully bring it home today.
So we're moments away from the start, and it all seems like it was a very short time ago that we announced the news of Jerome Zimmerman, and the Speed World Challenge family is very sad to inform you of the loss of life of Paul Mumford, our most recent race winner. Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by Toyo Tires, known for performance, tires that fit you. And by BMW. Visit your local BMW centre for a test drive. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We are getting set to roll as the cars make their way back toward the grid. Some good news this weekend that SCCA and Speed Channel have renewed their current deal. 3-year extension on the naming rights sponsorship and 5 years for the TV deal. Steve Johnson, President and CEO of the SCCA on the left, and my boss, the big man, Jim Librator on the right, the President of Speed Channel. So good news there. Exciting stuff. As usual, we have got a radio contact and communication with BMW driver Hans Stuck. Hello, Hans Stuck. It's Lee Diffie here. Can you hear me? We are just getting our show going. You're just about to get your show going. Thoughts on the race?
Yes, I'm in 7th position now, and I have Boris behind me, and I'm looking to get some points to secure my place in 3rd in the championship, but I have to pass Phil McClure, which will be difficult, but I'll try the best. We have some sunny conditions now. The line is dry, left is wet, so it's going to be difficult to overtake, to outbreak somebody, but we'll see how we get on.
Have a great race. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the track map. Johnny O'Connell knows it very well. Talk us around, Johnny.
Road Atlanta, 2.5 miles, winding elevation changes, but you got some great areas to pass. Going into turn 1, it's beautiful, a very fast corner taken in 4th or 5th gear. The thing about Road Atlanta, it's a good high medium speed corner. 2, 3, 4, all the way to 5, that's mostly going to be single file stuff, but you have a passing zone going into turn 6, but the most important corner on the racetrack, turn 7. You get a good exit out of there, you're going to be able to pass somebody going into 10. That's where we see most of our overtaking. It's going to be difficult today, though, because as Hans was just saying, we've got a dry line. Any person trying to make a pass has got to go where that pavement is damp, and that's a little bit dicey. You're going to see guys locking up. They're going to try to get single file as possibly as quick as they can.
As the field grid up, let's go back to pit lane one last time for a last-minute update. Brian.
Guys, you heard Randy Pobst talk about it, and Johnny, you just mentioned it. The track is dry and damp in places. These Audis are always great on these standing starts. They've got the advantage of all-wheel drive. Mike Fitzgerald, though, is at even more of a disadvantage in that he is going to be doing this standing start from an area of the racetrack that is damp. Like you talked about, Johnny, it's wet in some places, dry in others, and Randy Pobst, he's got the advantage. Lee?
Thanks, Brian. We will keep an eye on that. It's going to be an interesting start, and keep your eye on the Audi on the right of the screen when we go back to that main shot.
Yeah, and just following up on Brian was just saying, one of the things a driver will do in that situation when he's starting the damp track is he will have done a couple burnouts on that pace lap to try to get as much heat as he possibly can, you know, to help him on that start. He knows he's got a challenge, especially when you have Randy Pobst in that Audi right by him. I'd be worried about Phil McClure.
Fitzgerald on the left of your screen, the Audi of Pobst on the right. We wait for the start. Watch this white Audi, the RS6 launch. Here we go. Mike Gallardi jumps from the line beautifully as well. It's an Audi 1-2 into turn 1. Look at these machines fly.
Once again, we see the Audis do what they always do, getting a great start. Oh my goodness, Gallardi's all out of shape there.
Good save, Mike Gallardi. That could have been nasty. Now, I think you've just lost the one position.
Well, and we also saw a great start there by Hans Stuck. Again, Hans was on the preferred line, I believe. He was in a little bit drier area. He got a good start. You know, and whenever you're racing against your buddy, you know, it doesn't matter how good a friend you are. If you're Boris or Hans, they want to beat each other every bit as much as they want to beat anyone else.
David Farmer's feeling the pressure from the BMW PTG group as well. They're swamping him at the moment. Phil McClure in that red, white, and blue Corvette. He sits 4th. We ride with Phil right now. Beautiful camera angle on board the Coors Light Corvette. Look at Gallardi get that thing sideways.
You know, and you can see him get to the gas and gain just that one little car length that might be enough to stay in front of this Corvette down the long straightaway.
Let's take a look at a replay from the start. This is with Michael Gallardi. Talk us through.
You know, again, the difference in acceleration with that Quattro, it's huge. You can see he's already got a game plan, you know, to go into the middle there. That was his only room, but you can see he just ran in there way too hard and lost the position on Fitzgerald that he gained.
And that's where he stays right now. It's Randy Pobst at the end of the first lap. Mike Fitzgerald, Phil McClure putting the pressure on Michael Gallardi, then Bill Auberlen. And look at this. Hans Stuck has got through on David Farmer. Then it's Boris Said. We ride with Hans now. From Hans Stuck to Boris Said, David Farmer up ahead.
Yeah, and you could see Farmer getting way offline there. You know, one little mistake as you go down through the S's here multiplies it as you go through. You actually saw Farmer going into an area he didn't want to be in, which is on the darker part of the pavement. That's where it's wet and slippery.
David Farmer is just one position behind Boris in the championship chase. Something wrong for one of the BMWs, and that is Hans Stuck. Something has gone amiss for Hans.
Oh, that is such rotten luck. I mean, we've seen it happen before for Hans. He's got a good race car, and this looks like it's terminal. He's trying to get out of it.
I have no power. Something must be wrong with the thrust linkage. I can't put any gas on. It's not handling.
10-4. 7, car 8, moving slowly on course, driver's right at 7.
Now what Hans will do is he'll try to just get this thing idling back.
Oh, that's Boris. Boris Said has come off. Now he needs to get it.
Tell it, turn it off, and turn it back on.
That's radio contact to Hans Stuck from the PTG pit. Let's find out what happened to Boris, Johnny.
Well, you see him going in here. Oh, it looks like he probably got helped a little.
Mike McCann, that was in the 82, in the McCann Plastics Viper.
And that's one of those deals where Boris is going in. He's on the dry part of the pavement, and McCann really had no business going down there on the inside. You've got to expect, you know, that guy in there, when you get in that wet area, your car's going to slide.
Whether there's some body work rubbing on that rear left tire, smoke coming from Boris Ed's BMW. Meanwhile, back up front, Randy Pobst leads by about 2.5 seconds over Mike Fitzgerald. Will that Porsche come back in the latter stages of this race? We'll find out. But Audi, desperate for that first win. You rejoin us here at Road Atlanta. This is round 9 of the Speed GT Championship. Just one race left. Look at Randy Pobst out of turn 1.
You know, and really using that car. I mean, he's showing tremendous car control, but I was just thinking, you know, the strength of the Audi, it's got a killer engine. This is coming down into turn 12.
Problems there. Looked like John Groom was one of them in the Porsche. And
that's Kevin Chambers.
Yeah, Kevin's in big strife there.
Yeah, he's got a broken suspension somewhere in the back. Normally you get helped with that. Somebody running into you.
From there, back up front, and the margin has gone from 2.5 to 2 seconds. And now, are we seeing Mike Fitzgerald hunt Randy Pobst down?
Randy Pobst is, well, here we're going to see it.
Well, no. That was Kevin all by himself. And John Groom spun right beside him.
Just lifting, you know, again, the treacherous conditions. But I don't know whether he might have had a tire gone down. I mean, the way that thing came around, that was very unnatural. Normally when a car spins on you, it's a little bit more lazy with how it begins. That was pretty sudden. Anyway, getting back to Randy Pobst up here. You know, the weakness of the Audi all year long has been how much it abuses the tires. One thing I might be doing a little bit different than Randy is, again, he's staying on the dry part of the circuit the whole time. If I've got a tire issue problem and a wear problem, I'm going to search out those areas where it's damp to try to keep my tire temperatures low. It might just be that little bit to help you out. But right now, you know, Fitzgerald's running real strong. It's going to be everything that Randy can do to keep him back there.
Phil McClure in the Coors Light Corvette. He's lost a position. Bill Aublin has moved up into 4th. Brian, what do you have for us?
Don't forget, guys, McClure is driving a brand new race car. He has tested it, but he has not raced it yet, and it is slightly different than the other one, the one they had to replace after the big crash at Road America. They've moved the fuel cell a little bit farther forward to keep some of that big momentum swing in the back out of it, kind of move it forward a little bit and more centralize the weight. But the setups are not exactly the same, and so they're still having to learn this car. I think that's what you may be seeing right now. Certainly still shows power, but they've not come to grips with it completely.
Last time we were with you was at Laguna Seca, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca in California, and Phil actually came and spent some time with us in the booth. He did not meet the medical clearance requirements to come back and race there after that huge shot at Road America, but he's got the thumbs up, and it's great to see him back here at Road Atlanta.
Great guy, great talent. He does such a great job getting that Corvette to run fast. Really, it is one of the better turned out cars here.
And obviously the team have assisted Hans Stuck some way over the radio, and Hans has been able to get his BMW M3 going again, but well behind. Brian.
I'm here with James Stevens, who's the crew chief for Hans Stuck. And James, obviously we heard Hans say he was out of power, but he's back on track. What's the deal?
Well, we had a great start. He had just gotten around David Farmer, and you know, it was looking pretty good. We just lost power in electronics, cycled the mains and got it back, but we're of course at a big disadvantage now. So
when you recycle, when you turn it off, turn it back on, does that reset the computer basically like people would do at home?
Yeah, just like you basically do in your car. Sometimes you'll have a problem with your car and they'll reset the computer.
I always reset my home computer and it always gives me error messages, Lee. I don't know what the deal is with that, but maybe I need to turn it off the right way. Yeah. Sounds like the car's the same way, huh?
Yeah, meanwhile, back up front, it's getting hot. It's down to less than a second now. Mike Fitzgerald has arrived on the scene. He's arrived very quickly, and this is not what Randy Pobst wanted to see.
At all. Now, what he's got to really focus on is not over-driving his corners. Rely on that horsepower. I mean, if you can get down the straights longer, you can slow down Fitzgerald as much as you possibly can in the corner. He's not going to be able to get by you, especially with the track being damp. So, you know, Randy would be better off actually trying to slow the pace down in the corners, coming into 10A and 10B up here. Over-slow the car down, let Fitzgerald get close to him, wait till the straightaway, open up that gap.
Mike Fitzgerald has history on his side. Last time we were here at Road Atlanta earlier in the year, Mike won, and won well. That was his first of 2 wins this year. He went on to win at the very high-speed Road America later in the year. Now he's starting to really turn it up on Randy Pobst.
Beautiful run there through 12 by Fitzgerald, and what he's doing, he's taking a look at Randy and he's figuring out, okay, this is where he's strong, this is where he's weak. You can see Randy, though, sliding on those tires. It's just a matter of time. Fitzgerald's just got to be patient.
Battle for third's pretty interesting as well. Mike Gallardi is fighting off a pretty determined Bill Aublin, and Phil McClure is not out of the argument either. Brian.
Well, I was just down here talking to Kevin Wheeler, who's the crew chief for Randy Pobst, and I asked him the question that you asked, or that you brought up, Johnny, and that is, why isn't he running in the wet to cool those tires down? He said he really doesn't have a tire issue right now. The tires are not going away. They've really improved this car a lot, and they've gotten the tire temperatures down into acceptable levels. He said, Randy said on the radio, Fitzgerald is coming. He's just strong, guys. It's not that the Audi's going away. It's just that Mike Fitzgerald, he's strong.
What do you do, Johnny? What do you do if you're Randy Pobst right now? I know that you've offered a suggestion to go out there and get in the wet to cool them down, to cool the tires down, but what do you do? How do you handle this situation? Because it's very obvious that Fitzgerald looks the stronger of the two.
Well, he does, but where he's stronger is in the corner. So what you've got to do is kind of stall. You've got to, you know, change your game plan almost every lap so that Fitzgerald never gets a feel for what your rhythm is. You know, overslow the car down going into 10A, 10B. Boom, get a good exit. Overslow your car down in 12. Let Fitzgerald ride so close to you that he can't make that move. A difficult thing. I mean, it's certainly not easy, but.
Back on board with McClure. Let's enjoy this for a moment.
You're a little hard to understand there.
You're watching the battle up ahead. Bill Aublin working Michael Gallardi. Meanwhile, back up front, the pressure could not be any higher on Randy Pobst. He's led. He was not on the pole. Fitzgerald was. But we have seen so many times these big twin-turbo Audis, how they launch all-wheel drive off the line like rockets. And then Mike Fitzgerald has been playing a catch-up game. It's no longer that. He's right there with Randy now. McClure thinks about it on Bill Aublin. He's right there as well.
Well, and Fitzgerald was taking a real good look at Randy that time. And I got to tell you, that Porsche is a rocket ship too. I mean, where Randy's got a little bit of an advantage is in the tighty corners, the slower corners, the acceleration of that quattro drive, that helps him out.
Look at the top of your screen. Oh, look at that. I think McClure either got him or just pulled back in behind Bill Aublin. That battle is going on, and he's got by. McClure has got back up into fourth, so persistence paying off there for Phil. Now Bill comes back.
Oh, that's so close.
Oh, good stuff from Bill Aublin and Phil McClure. Guys that have both enjoyed victories this season, and of course Aublin is our championship leader.
And Billy looking at the inside there, strong move. And you know what? That's two drivers working with each other, because Phil could have come down on him, shut that move down. But nice job by both those guys right there.
Time for a quick break from Road Atlanta. We will return with plenty more of the Speed GT Championship. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Quick reminder about autofocus. Different shows every night where the cars are the stars. Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. Welcome back to Georgia, and one of the best tracks in the country, certainly one of the most challenging. Road Atlanta, and Randy Pobst has a challenge on his hands right now. The top 5 sit the same. It's Randy Pobst, Mike Fitzgerald, Michael Gallardi, then Bill Aublin and Phil McClure. 4 different makes of cars in the top 5 positions. Great diversity, just like in the Touring Car Championship as well. Plenty of different marks, plenty of different drivers. Some wonderful history in amongst this group.
Fitzgerald did something really smart there. He hung back a little bit because he's learning that he's coming through 12 faster. So rather than be right up close to Randy, he stays back a car length or 2. He can get that run and maybe make the move going on to Randy into turn 1.
More on Mike Fitzgerald, Brian.
Guys, I talked to Mike before the start, and he was pretty much resigned to the fact that Randy Pobst was going to beat him to turn one. He knew he was starting in the wet, and once again, starting beside that all-wheel drive Audi, a huge disadvantage. He said, I know he's going to get me at the start. I just don't want to lose a position to Galati, too, because I know that he'll be coming. Then I'll work on him, and I should be able to get by him. This Porsche is strong. Even with 150 pounds of this rewards weight that Fitzgerald is carrying, he still was considerably faster, qualified considerably faster than he did when he was here at the first race of the year. They've really improved that Porsche, and it shows. He's just got to be patient.
Good to see Mike Galati having a strong run in third. He's not quite with these guys, but he's been doing a lot of other driving lately, Johnny. He's been running in the Grand Am Cup. We saw him run in the touring car race here earlier, and I mean, he's just felt that he hasn't driven enough this year, and he's been doing a little extra lately.
And I mean, every time you're in a car, it's helping you out. I mean, I know this has been kind of frustrating for him because as last year's champion, you expect to come back and be able to defend that title. He's not really had the type of luck that he liked. He's having a good run here though, and keeping his teammate honest. He's only running 2 seconds behind him. So, you know, nice to see Mike Galati having a good run here. An interesting thing, when you watch these cars, you can just see the weight. You know, they talk about getting the Audi to lose some weight. You can see it rolling, you know, as it goes through the corner, whereas the Porsche is definitely, it's lighter, it's a tighter looking car as it goes through the corner.
If the race were to finish right now, Randy Pobst, look at Mike Fitzgerald here. He's been looking at here every lap. He draws alongside the Audi. Is he close enough? No, not the right position to make the move on Randy Pobst this time round. Good stuff, Mike Fitzgerald.
Well, and again, that comes from watching Randy lap in, lap out, see what his line is, and getting a feel for his rhythm, and then making that counterattack. You know, right now, Fitzgerald is feeling, okay, I got to really up the pressure, get Randy to overuse his tires, but Randy's showing very good composure in these tighter corners, the slower corners, making sure that he does get a good run off them.
Johnny, if you're Mike Fitzgerald, sitting in that Porsche, sitting second, you look in the mirror, you know that you've got a healthy margin back to Galati, and we're not even halfway through this 27-lapper. So do you make your move now, or do you be a little more patient?
You know, there's nothing wrong with being patient, and right there you say, oh, Galati, just lock up a little bit. I think that was enough for maybe Billy to get by. But no, you have to be patient. You have to look at the big picture, but at the same time, you know, you want to start throwing some fakes at Randy. Okay, getting him to tighten up his line and overuse his car.
Orblin is right there, or was right there with Michael Galati, with more on Orblin. Brian?
Well, guys, the other thing that you're watching is a battle for the championship. Don't forget that. It's with Randy Pobst and obviously points leader Bill Auberlen. Each one of them has to be careful. Pobst really needs to win this race if he wants to stay in the championship hunt. Auberlen needs to make sure he finishes it. So they both are running for a championship. And Johnny O'Connell, you just won a driver's championship. What goes through your mind as Bill Auberlen, as you're sitting back there battling? How far do you take the fight to the guys in front of you in order to make sure you come out of the season with a championship?
Well, you know, it's always a tough thing, you know. I mean, I always try to approach each race not thinking about a championship, but thinking about winning and being as far up as I possibly can. And I kind of have a feeling that, you know, I mean, Auberlen, he's a gunfighter. He wants to win every race that he possibly can. And, you know, right now he is the strongest BMW out there. And at the end of the day, it's not about a driver's championship. It's about a manufacturer's championship. And I'm sure he's thinking about that as well.
To update you on those other BMW drivers, Justin Marks has done a great job to come from 13th to 8th. And look at Phil McClure. Look at the straight line speed of this Corvette.
Oh, he got a killer run coming out of turn 5 here. They're going into turn 6 now. Everybody's getting bunched up. Traffic ahead.
Hans Stuck is way down in 18th. Boris Said is running 14th. So that's where the other BMW runners sit at the moment. And speaking of championship and the way that works, Bill Auberlen would have to walk away from here today with a 35-point championship lead to put it beyond doubt going to the final round at Puerto Rico. He comes into this with a 20-point lead over Randy Pobst. Now, if the race were to finish right now, bonus points aside, Randy would pull back at least 7 on Bill. Oh, and Mike Galati's run wide at 10.
He ran it in there too deep, and I don't know whether Billy's going to be able to counter this. No, he held on to it, but I mean, we saw actually, you know, the previous lap going into turn 7, Mike have a problem locking that right front tire up. I'm wondering if he's not just running too much front brake bias, and, you know, you're worried about losing the rear end, so you dial it to the front, because what happens is he keeps locking that front tire up, and then when he turns the steering wheel, he doesn't have the crispness that he needs to get that car pointing in.
He's been racing an A4 just earlier this weekend in the touring car race. Now in this the all-wheel drive, the RS6. How much different is it? It's a huge difference, isn't it?
There's a fair amount of difference just because of the weight and the feel of the cars, but as we go on board with them, you can see he is working hard. He's got to be so gingerly soft with these controls. It's everything he can do just to stay on.
His teammate Randy Pobst continues to lead the way. Will it be that way on the other side of this? We'll find out.
Eastern, only on Speed.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. You're looking at the two guys up front. It's champion Audis, Randy Pobst in the RS6 leading the way from Mike Fitzgerald. Wipers going on. Is it starting to rain out there?
Well, right there, beautiful run out of 7 by Phil McClure. He cleared that.
And now Auburn will come back on the inside. We saw this earlier. Great racing today between these two guys.
Now watch Phil. He's going to take a wide line, tighten up a cross underneath Phil. Oh, Billy, I don't know what happened there. He had a problem.
Something major has happened, and he's limping over to the left-hand side and into pit lane.
Oh, now this is going to get back to Randy Pobst. This is huge for the championship.
This is what Randy Pobst has been waiting for. Problems to the championship leader.
I wonder if this isn't the same thing that happened to Hans, whether or not he just has some electrical problem.
We will find out, but this is devastating to Bill Aublin's championship hopes. He will still, more than likely, be in the lead, leaving here. But this is huge. This is what Pobst and the Audi team have been waiting for. Brian.
He rolls it to a stop. I asked the crew guys as he was rolling in what the problem was. He said broken gearbox. He has no drive, and he is not happy. You'll also notice when you look at the car as it's sitting here, you'll see water starting to form on the hood of this car. It's beginning to rain, and that can only be good news for Randy Pobst and his championship hunt. Bill Auberlen, not a happy driver, very upset. He's out of this event, Lee.
Wow, wow, that is devastating. And that just turns things around. At the top of this show, we said that this championship is still wide open, and that is now more the case. And Randy Pobst will know that that is the situation. His team will have radioed to him by now and told him that Auberlen is out of the race. And he knows that he still has a shot at being the 2003 Speed GT champion.
Well, and I mean, he has been pushing hard and been very strong and consistent all year long. I mean, he deserves what he's gotten this year. And I know, you know, as quick as he's been, as strong as he's been, it's got to, you know, be frustrating that he's not had a win. His driving right now, remember how he was earlier in the opening laps, how the car was sliding more. He's settled down now, right now. He's looking after his car. Randy Pobst is looking pretty good at the moment.
Lap 15 of 27. And Mike Fitzgerald is just glued to the back of Randy Pobst.
But what Randy's doing, if you watch him now, you compare how he went through those S's there, he knows every time he comes out of turn 5, he looks in his mirror, he says, okay, I accelerate away from Fitzgerald there. So he's learned that all I have to do is be slow through the S's, clean in the tidy stuff, and make sure I get a good exit out of these important corners like turn 7 that they're coming up to, and I'm in good shape.
And a quick shot there of Bill Auberlen back in the pits, and understandably just gutted, devastated. And now will be a spectator for the remainder of this race. Points pay, incidentally, back to 21st. You get a single point for, rather 25th. So, I think we started with 27 cars. So,
if you're Randy Pobst, you're hating this, having to go through traffic.
More on Randy Pobst. Brian.
I just spoke with Kevin Wheeler. I said, I assume you have told Randy on the radio that Auberlen is out. He said, absolutely, I told him. I also told him it's not that important to win this race right now. If push comes to shove, we're in the championship hunt again. Don't do anything crazy. I also asked him about the Manufacturers Championship. How important is it? It's all about championships, he said. Driver and manufacturer, they want both. Lee?
Well, sure. Coming into this race, 20-point gap, Auberlen to Pobst. Manufacturers, 10-point gap, BMW to Audi. So this could be the day Audi were hoping for.
You know, it's funny what he said. I told Randy he didn't have to win that race. Yeah. I'm sure Randy heard blah, 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 blah. I mean, he's a hometown boy. This is his hometown racetrack. He wants to win this thing.
Keeping up to date with some other big-name drivers, Boris said we ride with now. Boris currently runs 12th at the moment, and his teammate Hans Stuck back in 15th. They're playing catch-up. Meanwhile, their younger teammate, Justin Marks, the 4th member in that team, running 7th at the moment. It's Pobst, Fitzgerald, Gallardi, McClure, then Mike McCann, the rookie in the Dodge Viper, is running 5th, David Farmer 6th, then Marks, Mike Culver, Tim Weens, and Woodhouse rounds out the top 10. Here's Mike McCann, and there is David Farmer right behind Mike McCann, running 6th at the moment.
Farmer having one of the best races that he's had all season. He did a great job qualifying, and you know, when you consider he's not so much a factory effort, he does a great job with that Corvette.
That Viper competition coupe, the front of the screen there, beautiful machine up close. His brother Jim McCann is running this weekend as well, after those guys were tangled in that terrible accident at Road America. And here is Justin Marks pushing as hard as he can. He is not out of this either. After an uncharacteristic qualifying of 13th, he's pushed nicely. And this young guy, whoa, boy, is he pushing hard.
You know what, and you gotta say, what a difficult environment for a young kid to be in. You have, you know, Bill Arbelin, Hanstuck, and Borchet. I mean, you're talking 3 guys that are known internationally, you know, for how strong they are. For him to just be in that environment says a lot about what Tom Milner thinks about his ability.
Randy Pobst has a nice gap over Mike Fitzgerald now. Things are looking more comfortable for the Audi pilot. Stay with us. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We continue with round 9 of the Speed GT Championship. Great battle going on here between Mike McCann in the Viper competition coupe and the Corvette of David Farmer. They're battling over 5th position. McCann currently holds that, and just behind these guys, young Justin Marks in the highest place PTG BMW. There he is, and Mike Culver right behind him.
It's a frustrating battle right now for Farmer here, because he definitely has the handling on that Viper, but once I tell you, when they get on the straightaway where you know, McCann can pull the trigger, I mean, he opens up 4, 5, 6 car lengths. Now watch as they get into the tighty stuff here, you're going to see Farmer close up on him next couple of corners. But in a way, this is similar to what Randy Pobst is dealing with. He's got the acceleration and the horsepower with Fitzgerald behind him. Fitzgerald has the handling.
On board with Michael Gallardi, and it looks like he's starting to catch Mike Fitzgerald. Let's ride with Mike for a moment. What are you wincing for, Johnny?
Oh, well, you know what? You know what? When you go on board like this, you know what the line is supposed to be, and you know what he's having to deal with. And as he comes down through those S's, you know, his car is just way too lazy. You can tell his tires have lost their sharpness, you know, and he's really just holding on, trying to drive the car with the throttle.
Ryan Till, what do you have for us?
Guys, the rain down here has stopped once again. Very difficult conditions. It dries, it gets damp, then it dries again. And right now, I talked to Will Moody. He said that Fitzgerald had dropped off about 2 seconds on his lap time from earlier in the race due to the slick track conditions. It has favored Randy Pobst, and that's why he's been able to pull out a little bit. He said it is definitely slick out on the racetrack, but with the rain stopping, it'll be dry again in a few more laps. And the question is, how do you as a driver keep up with such difficult conditions? These guys have a tough job ahead of them today, but the all-wheel drive of that Audi has got to be favoring Randy Pobst right now, Lee.
Now, Brian, while you're still on the line there with us, you didn't wuss it, did you? You did go and ask Bill Auberlen for an interview, didn't you?
I did go ask Bill Auberlen for an interview. Bill politely declined to speak. He was a little upset. You know, Johnny called him a gunfighter, and that's exactly what he is. He's probably one of the most competitive drivers I know, and even though he's leading the championship, he's not at all happy that this car broke. He wants to be out there. He wants to win every race that he ever runs. Just like you, Johnny O.
Well, you know what, and he knows how important every single point is, and when you don't, you know, you come away from a race, you know, he'd probably prefer to finish 5th or 6th as long as he was finishing to get some points, and then to be able to look out on the racetrack, see Randy Pobst, your competition, leading. Boy, I tell you what, he knows that means it's going to be a dogfight in Puerto Rico.
Looking at the 73, the Coors Corvette of Phil McClure. He currently runs a nice 4th spot, and it's great to see him back in the Speed GT Championship.
Feel good. Car's good. We got a chance to test with it at Mid-America a couple weeks back, and we made some changes on this car we've been wanting to put in for quite some time, and we're pretty excited about it. You know, they built it pretty quick, thinking we were going to get to run Laguna, but that didn't work out. But I've been cleared by the doctors, my physician, and Dr. Chrome, the series director, series physician, and excited to be here. It just seems like it's been a long time.
Well, we welcome him back. 2 times race winner this year. Got off to an unbelievable start. Back-to-back wins at Sebring and Mossport.
And doing a nice job with this new car. I mean, he's being sensible about it. Again, I'm sure when you fall out, you know, you miss a couple races, you're not doing the running, the testing, you know, it's difficult just to get back in and be where you were before that accident. You know, like anyone, you have an accident, you're a little bit gun shy initially. So, you know, each lap that he's getting in here in this race, he's regaining his confidence, getting the feel for this new car. Again, and here's a guy that is going to be strong again.
Give credit to his team too, as Brian mentioned before, after that big crash at Road America, and his team did an outstanding job to rebuild that car after such a huge shunt. This battle is not going away. David Farmer is not letting go of Mike McCann. And McCann, who was in the middle of a pretty dogged battle at Laguna, is in one again.
Here's put together.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta, round 9 of the Speed GT Championship. This is what it looks like up front. The white Audi, the RS6 for champion Randy Pobst, sees the 2 waving yellow flags. We are under a full force caution, and this is the reason why. David Barr in the Robin Hayes Racing Dodge Viper. And there is David sitting down. That's quite a healthy shunt, and let's hope that he is okay. We did see him get out of the car and run over and climb the wall. This is what happened.
Up on the curbs a little bit.
Out in the wet.
Oh boy, I tell you, there's so little room down there. I always like to think of that place as that part of the racetrack. I always refer to it as Ricochet Alley, in that there's so little room, and if something goes wrong, you're going to be ricocheting off the wall.
As onboard Boris said, incidentally.
You know what? That isn't a transition area, so what I'm pretty certain happened right there, that's in an area where you're getting off the gas and going to the brakes. And at that same moment, he'd be tightening his steering up to make what is going to be next for him, a right-hander. It takes very little, change in the attitude of the car to get them to spin, and especially with it being wet there, I guarantee you that's what went happen there.
Pretty weird day weather-wise here in Georgia at Road Atlanta, and the sun's starting to poke through the clouds. Brian?
Well, guys, it's starting to drizzle again down here, and that, the Audi guys, they did not want to see this yellow. Obviously, it brought Fitzgerald up to Randy Pobst, but also brought McClure to Galati, who was having a great race. And with it starting to rain again, maybe that'll give them some sense of joy in this deal, because if they restart it and it's DAP, both of those Audis are going to have an advantage, and you never know. Galati may actually be able to get the jump on Fitzgerald. Lee?
Thanks, Brian. And we've got just 5 laps to run here at Road Atlanta. We'll take the opportunity, take advantage, and take a break. We'll be back to take you to the finish. Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, Dave, Motorsports Newsmakers, and you. Wind Tunnel. It's one of the most popular shows on the network, and you can be a part of it 4 nights a week, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. That's Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Well, after a pretty exciting race, it looks like we are going to finish this one under caution, and this is the reason why. David Barr in that red Viper, and this is a heavy, heavy contact head-on into those concrete barriers, and David has been taken away in the ambulance to the medical center so they can take care of him. The cleanup continues in that section of the circuit, and it's been quite lengthy, as you can imagine. A lot of debris on the track down there. They're coming down into turn 10, and they've in fact already received the white flag, so they will get the caution and the checker all at one, Johnny. Not the way we would like to see it finished, but nonetheless, plenty of reason to celebrate for champion.
Oh, very much so. And I got to tell you, you know what? Even had this race stayed green, Randy Pobst was strong today. I mean, he was mistake-free. And one of the things we saw him changing his style. There's less slide into that car going down towards the end of his stint. He's a guy that's deserved to win all year. He's driven so strongly, and it's nice to see him finally get one here at his home track, Road Atlanta.
Excellent. Randy Pobst wins. He does get that first win this year for Audi in the RS6. Their first win for that new car, and he is in contention for this championship. Let's go directly to the champion pit. Here's Brian.
Oh, absolutely, he's in contention, and Kevin Wheeler, the crew chief on Randy's car, I know you probably would like to have won it underneath the green, but you guys, I think you're going to take this one. It's what you've been waiting for all year long.
Yeah, we've been really looking forward to a first place. Randy's been on the podium several times, but only seconds and thirds. And this worked out great. As you notice, Michael Galati finished third, so both Audis are on the podium today. And Randy had a really good car the whole race. Fitzgerald was strong, right there in the middle. Some traffic went our way, and they got a little gap, broke free a little bit, but he was coming back strong, and it would have been a race to the end.
And I understand that he was so concerned about his competitors under that yellow, he said, we better not restart this because it could be dangerous out here, right?
Yeah, when the full course yellow came out, he said, let's end this right now.
That's like we said, guys, Lee, they'll take it any way they can get it. There's some celebrating down here.
Boy, oh boy, and this is going to be interesting, taking this championship to Puerto Rico for the finale. Top 10 as we go to a break. Congratulations there to Mike McCann. He gets his second consecutive top 10. We'll be back. Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by Toyo Tires, known for performance, tires that fit you. Taking a look at the full field results here at Road Atlanta for round 9, the second last round, and it's probably the most crucial round as far as the championship is concerned. Pobst, his first win of the season. Last time he enjoyed victory was last year at Laguna Seca. Fitzgerald, Galati, the other podium finishes. Phil McClure, top 5, good result there. Thoughts on the race just quickly, Johnny?
Well, you know, you got to be perfect to win in any race series, and as competitive as the GT Championship has been this year, you really have to be perfect. Randy Pobst has been close many times this season. He was perfect today and got out his first win.
Boris said worked his way inside the top 10, but Hanstuck just outside. But it was Randy Pobst's day. He thoroughly deserved it, and he's with Brian Till.
Well, and let the celebration begin. Randy Pobst brings that Audi in. Don't stand up in the door of your Audi at home, folks. This is that's not what they're made for, but Randy Pobst certainly used all of that car today, and standing on the door, not a problem. This is what you've been waiting for all year long. I know it's what you've been working for. Does it feel like you thought it would?
Oh, my goodness. I just got to say, how's the guy in the Viper?
Reports are he's fine. I think they put him in the ambulance and took him away.
Champion Racing has worked so hard on this Audi RS6. It's a great, great car, and it got better every race. And now it's a winner, and I owe it to the champion team. Mike Galati had a great run, too. And I really want to dedicate this race to Paul Mumford, my friend in the Viper who won the last race and died in a tragic accident. We're just thrilled. And, you know, it's written, the harder you work for something, the more you appreciate it. And I don't think any win's ever been better.
The weather and everything worked for you guys today. The track seemed very difficult conditions. Dry, then wet, then dry.
It was all about Audi's Quattro system, driving all 4 wheels. I didn't have as much to worry about. When we had little sprinkles on the windshield, which is about the whole second half of the race, and I think that's maybe how the Viper got in trouble. Wasn't much traction. I could pull Fitzy in the 911, and it was all due to Audi Quattro traction. And of course, we had the great starts, which is I always love. And Champion Racing, way to go, man! Way to go!
Well, some big celebration down in the champion pits tonight. The win that they have so longed for, they've gotten it.
And a great race, great drive by Randy Pobst. Let's take a look at the drivers' points heading into the final race in Puerto Rico, and look at that. Randy Pobst comes from a 20-point deficit to be ahead by 12 over Bill Auberlen. It was a crushing day for Bill, and Phil McClure maintains his position in the top 3. Let's hear from McClure now.
Well, the big guy is back. Phil, welcome back, and what a great job to take a brand new car in your return and end up in the top 5 fourth. Great run.
We were really excited to get this car out here. There have been a lot of things over the years that we had wanted to do with the car we had. Building one from the ground up, even though it was in 21 days, gave us the opportunity to put some of those changes in. So we knew we would be better, and kind of wish we went green to the end. Michael and I was playing pretty good there early in the race. That's the way it ended. So.
And after such a big crash at Road America, any flinching when you get back in competition, or was everything just good to go?
Well, you know, the good thing about the crash at Road America is I don't remember any of it. So that's really the only good thing about that. No, not really. I mean, maybe if I went back to that track and into that corner again, I'm sure I'd think about it. Not really. I mean, the guys did such a good job with this car. Installs a lot of confidence in the drivers.
Well, he is a professional. You got to get back on the horse that threw you. He certainly did that today. Lee?
Yeah, great to have him back in the championship. Johnny, when you're not involved in the championship yourself, you couldn't ask for it to be any better. Going down to the final race, there's only 12 points in it.
Huge pressure, not just on the drivers. You got to look at the teams. You know, PTG, unusual for them to drop the ball like they had. You know, you had Stuck with a problem, Borst with a problem. Worst of all, Bill Auberland had a problem. It's going to make Puerto Rico amazing to watch.
We've said it again. We've said it once. We'll say it again. Where's the next stop?
Puerto Rico.
It should be a wonderful weekend. You can catch that on the 15th of November, the telecast that is. Thanks for joining us from Road Atlanta. Our congratulations to Randy Pobst and champion Audi.